Joe Rogan's take on the current deep state panic is pretty darn interesting. We keep hearing that the deep state is in full-blown panic mode, and while some critics might dismiss it as wishful thinking, the facts tell us otherwise, don't they? The unelected bureaucrats who've been running this country into the ground fought like hell to keep President Trump out of office, throwing everything at him, including the kitchen sink. And why did they do that? Just because they don't like him? Hardly. They did it because they knew if he made it back to the White House, their jig was up. They knew this wasn't 2016 anymore. A Trump win in 2024 would spell big trouble for their entire operation. And they were right. The uniparty, media, and left-wing radicals don't want to admit it, but their precious deep state is crumbling. And one of their biggest problems is that President Trump's administration is more America first than ever. Last time around, they made sure to stack his cabinet with a plethora of traitors and backstabbers. But Trump, who was a newcomer to the dirty world of politics back then, learned from his mistakes. This time around, he rolled into the swamp with a posse that has his back. And as we recently reported, Trump is using a whole new strategy. He's moving at breakneck speed, firing off rapid-fire policies, executive orders, and decisions faster than the media, Dems, and deep state can respond. They're frazzled, flailing, and falling way behind, and that's exactly how it should be. Even some experts, like Mark Halperin, have been left speechless watching Trump steamroll not just the fake news media, but the entire Dem party. Mark says he's never seen anything like this. Once again, President Trump is changing the game. He's a man who has learned from the past, and now he knows exactly how to play these bad guys like a fiddle. A Mark Halperin on Trump's second term. I'm paid to not be baffled or speechless. That's been my job. I am baffled and somewhat speechless. The Democrats are nowhere on the field. The press is nowhere on the field. I have never seen anything like not just the activity but the inability of his opponents to forget stopping him. They're barely, with a few exceptions, even slowing him down. So, yes, lately, there's been a whole lot of chatter about the deep state, but we just came across one of the most unique and interesting takes yet, and it comes from Joe Rogan. Joe believes the deep state is barely limping along, and a big reason for that is they can't communicate easily, especially now when they need it the most with Doge digging into government fraud, aka deep state slush funds. A lot of very evil men and women must be having some seriously sleepless nights. Read more. Border Czar Homan takes his case against AOC to the DOJ. And another thing. These bad actors know the current administration is watching their every move, just waiting for someone to slip up. Conspiring, covering their tracks, and getting their stories straight has to be a nightmare right now. Not to mention the added stress of wondering who's going to crack first, because someone is going to crack. As Joe puts it, these deep staters must be looking sideways at everyone. Who's a friend? Who's an enemy? Who flipped? Who didn't? And that kind of panic and emotional uncertainty doesn't just create chaos, it breeds total, unadulterated paranoia. And honestly, that's probably exactly what President Trump wants. The deep state can't conspire right now because their phones are tapped. The power that the government has to look into people's emails, their phones, their texts, their signal, their everything. The idea that they're not doing that, if they're not in the middle of a $1 trillion fraud investigation, is ridiculous. They also have to worry about people taking deals. There'll be some people that squeal. So you don't know who's your enemy and who's your friend, and you go to lunch with someone and they're wearing some button camera, and now you're f***ed. So they're not united right now. This is why it's working, and they're able to release all these information, and people are in this hot panic right now. Joe is right. The panic is real, and it's only going to get worse. This is just Act 1. Trump and his team are just getting warmed up. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the show.